Just checking in. Connecting with the field for tonight. The interface between consciousness and matter. And what I'm seeing tonight is that this interface, the difference between outside and inside, looks like it wants to be explored. So yeah, that's what we're going to look at. So if you want to join me in this meditative state, take a moment to find a place where you'll be comfortable for the next little bit. Usually these have been going about an hour, no promise, give or take. And I'll usually do a time check towards the end, but yeah, take a moment, find yourself in a comfortable place, see if you need to have, if there's anything that your animal body needs to feel nourished right now. I'm going to take a sip of my hydrating beverage. Which, side note, I have been drinking herbal teas, specifically like traditional medicinal throat comfort or throat coat, and also they're breathe deep. And right now I mixed in a little bit of peppermint too, just like straight peppermint tea bags. But I've been making it as iced tea and then mixing it with element in my water bottle, and it is so freaking good, you guys. It's amazing. I'm like obsessed with it. It's the lemonade flavor of element. So it comes up as this like, it's just like this iced lemon tea, and it's, yeah, I don't know. I've been just like craving and drinking more salt lately. For the last couple years, ever since pregnancy and childbirth, breastfeeding, all of that. But even now that I haven't been lactating for a while, I'm still, and I'm not really all that active, especially compared to what I used to be. Like, I'm not sweating a ton, but I just love drinking this salty ass water. It's so good. It's just, it makes me, yeah, like I've never been able to drink just tap water or even filtered water. I've always been super sensitive to like subtle tastes in water, and something about just like charging it back up with, and yeah, I mean, we can go off on a whole water tangent and stuff like that, but yeah, not sponsored. Obviously, these episodes are getting between 3 and 3 and 11 views in the first 24 hours, so obviously not SpawnCon here. But love me a little bit of element. Yeah, so once you've found your hydrating beverage, found a place to get seated, come on in, settle down, find a place to sit. Just taking a minute to ground into the space where you find yourself, wherever you are in time, wherever you are in space. Take a moment to just allow the place that you are in to hold you and to form that kind of exterior boundary on your body and your awareness right now. So noticing the floor of the room where you are, noticing the ceiling, noticing the walls to your sides, back and front. What's the shape of the room? Are you in a room, or are you outside, or are you in a car, or what? Like whatever the the space that your body is in, allow it and notice it, and allow yourself to be held by it. Feel the ground supporting you, whether that is via a chair or directly on the ground, maybe lying down, sitting. You know, it's always kind of suggested to find a place to sit with your back relatively straight, relatively upright, your feet supported by some sort of surface. Just essentially just to put yourself in a place where you're comfortable enough to settle in and tap in and not distracted by discomfort, but not so comfortable that you fall asleep. Unless you need to, that's fine. But sleep is not, that's not where the work is done. Like, yes, we work in our sleep, but the conscious work is not done, can't be done while we're unconscious, of course. Like, things come up and you get drifted off, and that's totally 100% fine. But yeah, just kind of finding that place where you are seated and supported and held, and your body can kind of relax and let go without drifting off too deeply. And then if you have the ability and you're alone, or you're in a safe place, gently closing your eyes if that's available to you, and if it's not, that's fine. And bringing your awareness. So let's take a moment and notice our moment, or notice our point of awareness. So at any moment, your consciousness is either focused or it's diffuse, right? Those are kind of the two states of awareness. And of course, it's a spectrum, right? You can be focusing on a pinpoint, or you can have no point of focus at all, and your awareness can be on the entire universe at once. But for most of us who are living in this, 2020s late stage capitalism, like in the US, urban, like working in jobs and things like that, like having anxiety, and most people in the world, right, in the world as it exists today, under this existing paradigm of capitalism, we tend to spend more time in our with our awareness focused, whether or not we're actually focused on a task, and whether or not it's actually beneficial for us to be focused, as opposed to allowing our consciousness to take up that diffuse, that spread out, that open state, right? So it's there's and you can think of these as yin and yang, right? It's a polarity, it's a dichotomy. And we spend so much time in that yang state of focused awareness, of whether we're focusing on a task, or we're taking in any sort of media, right? If we're taking in media and we're paying attention to it, of course, this isn't taking into account like when you space out and you're scrolling, but there's always your awareness is always external, and it's always on something in particular, and it's usually like point to point, like there's a single XYZ point in space where your awareness is, right? Obviously your awareness doesn't exist at that point. Your awareness is somewhere else, but your awareness is focused on that point. So just noticing right now, is my awareness diffuse or is my awareness focused? And can I switch between the two? can I allow my awareness, my consciousness to widen, to open up? And then can I contract it back down, and can I put it on something, right? And if it's helpful to have, you can think of like the tip of your finger for as an example, right? Or, a pen or what. You don't need to have anything physically, but you can just think of a pen, or think of like the very tip top of or the seed of an apple, or your thumbnail, whatever it is. So just can you, and what does it feel like? What do you notice about the experience of opening your awareness up, letting go of any point of focus, or focusing that awareness? How does your mental state change when you go between those two, right? Because it's not just the act of focusing and the act of opening up. And there's some neuroscience like stuff. There's like a detour here that I could go off on about, like default mode network and things like that I'm actually going to set aside, because I don't want to go too deeply into that, because right now what I want to talk about is the surface of your awareness, but I want to get there. So when I start a meditation, I usually am going to start by, of course, after we get our body settled, I'm usually going to call your attention into the center of your head. And this was something that always kind of confused me a lot when I was learning these tools, because I'm like, I'm always in the center of my head. Like, that's where my awareness is always seated. Like, I'm looking out my eyes. I'm in between my ears. But what I learned over the years is that it's not necessarily where you're looking from, but what you're looking at. That is what needs to come inside, if that makes sense. So noticing that there is something that you're focusing on, and that you are separate from it, or like whatever the observer principle is, whatever the me that sees, wherever that is, usually inside your head, they're different, right? And noticing that point of awareness, and like noticing yourself noticing that point of awareness, helps you get distance from the thought, and start to identify as the thinker, as the observer. Yeah, and that's stuff I've talked about before. I don't remember when, but definitely in this podcast series. So the goal of meditation is to disidentify yourself from your thoughts, and allow them to pass, essentially, but so that you can put your brain in a receptive state, so that you can attune to the field and attain greater awareness, right? That's the whole point. That's the fucking reason we meditate. Yeah, and when you sit down to meditate and you bring your awareness inside your head, you're actually you're bringing that point of awareness, and that point of that which you are aware of, and that which is aware, kind of into contact with each other. And I used to, and sometimes I still do, I kind of go cross-eyed a little bit, to be totally honest, when I come into the center of my head. But that's just because I've lived my whole life of being in this like focus mode, in this salience network, I think is what it's called. This like place where you're looking at something and you're trying to figure it out and you're thinking about it and you're in that like external analytical state. But when you come inside the center of your head and you remove the distance between the observer and the observed, you kind of automatically put yourself into that state of expanded awareness. It's like a shortcut. So if when we were doing that exercise of like focus and then expand and then focus and expand, if you don't know how to expand, that's okay. That's something you learn through meditation. And a good way to do that is to put those 2 points of contact, like that which is observed and that which is doing the observing, like put those two things next to each other inside the center of your head. And try to relax the muscles around your eyes. So there's so many tiny little muscles in your face, but especially the ones that like kind of make your eyes like squint and look side to side and things like that. And this is maybe my experience, but I experience a lot of movement in the muscles in my eyes as I think and as I see and as I look at the world. And so when I can relax those muscles, I can kind of start to put distance between wearing my thoughts on my face, which I am 100% notorious for, especially in like online meetings. I would have to turn my camera off because I just react like with my face to whatever's being said uncontrollably. I don't know if that's the spectrum or if that's the like totally open throat center in human design or whatever, but yeah, having some space, having some distance between thought and reaction is the same. Like that's what we're doing here. That's the work. So when you are able to you don't have to fully disconnect from that. And I'm actually noticing that for me, that connection between the muscles in behind my eyes are so deeply integrated with the rest of my muscles of my face that help me verbalize, that I can't actually completely relax the muscles in my eyes while I'm talking. So, oh my God, music for airports. Are you kidding me? No, we're not doing this. Sorry. We cannot. Sorry. It's a phenomenal album. I just listened to it for like literally 3 years of my life. So, yeah, I can't do a music for airports. Anyway, once again, trying to train my Apple Music algorithm, and I'm probably going to give up and I'm probably going to activate my Spotify, but there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Okay. Yeah, so we were reflecting on the connections but like what I was getting at while I'm talking about like the ways that our thoughts kind of diffuse down into the muscles of our face and create output, right, in the form of facial expressions and in the form of words. The more we become aware of these things, the more we are able to connect with the field, right? And so this is what I wanted to talk about tonight. So think about that place within your head where your thoughts become movement and become changes in muscle state, like contraction of muscles. That is one manifestation of the field where consciousness and matter interact. And another place where like another aspect of the field is this point of awareness concept that I was talking about. So this place where you are aware, like what you are aware of, and the fact that there's something inside your head that is looking at that thing, that place, like that, imagine like following a fly around the room, right? Or just letting your awareness kind of trace a path that could be a fly around the room through three-dimensional space, right? Over the course of time, since we live in a time matrix and we can only travel time one direction. But like, imagine if you just kind of painted that whole, like took that, that cursor, so to speak, right? You can think of this place where you're aware of as a cursor in your three-dimensional interface with matter, right? And when you kind of like let that project into yourself, like, what is my experience of this as the observer and as the actor, you start to get this map of a flattened dimensional, like, it's not planar, it's not a perfect plane, it's not flat, but it's like, it's kind of a two-dimensional, like it can be flattened into this like two-dimensional sheet of like an interface between yourself, like your interior self, and the world, your exterior self. Yeah. Yeah, so just kind of check in with that and see, like, what's in the field, right? And this is different from your aura, right? This is different from your energetic space. This is like reading the energy, which is a pretty advanced technique, and I'm not going to teach you how to read energy in this format. I probably am going to teach you how to, or the generic you, maybe not you individually, each one who's listening to this, but I am definitely called to teach this, but I'm not quite there yet. But if you have these tools and you already know how to read energy, like, this is what the reading screen kind of turns into, right? Because we all have had these issues, right? If like, I'm speaking to my psychic colleagues here, people who have had these, who've gone through this training, and or like just have this knowledge. Like, we all have this experience in which, if we've been taught to compartmentalize what we read onto a reading screen, right? This screen is just it's like a cookie sheet out of this huge interface that we have, right? So we can like stick a rectangle in front of our face. A tool of mind control. We can stick a rectangle in front of our face and say, this is my reading screen, and I must, like, what I want to see should stay on this. But we've all had that experience where it kind of comes out, and it kind of starts to take over our entire field. But yeah, I'm just feeling into this. I'm kind of moving my field back out away from me, getting some space from it. And this is, yeah, because what I wanted to sit down and talk about was the field, but also interiority versus exteriority, right? What is inside versus what is outside. And it's easy, it's easy to tell when we have our eyes open and we're interacting with the 3D matrix. It's really easy to tell what is internal and what is external in like a superficial sense, right? Not like a deep philosophical sense of like everything external is really internal, but like superficially, right? It's easy to tell what is inside of me versus what is outside of me when I have my eyes open and I'm interacting with when I'm interacting with a field through the form of 3-dimensional touch, grabbing, manipulating objects, moving matter, right? It gets a little fuzzier when you start to look inside of yourself. That's what energy work is. That's what this work teaches you, is how to have your own space and to exist in your own interior space, but also to interact with each other and to find connection in the interior space. And so many of us either don't really have any validation of our own interiority, like don't have any acknowledgement that what is going on within ourselves, like in quote unquote inside your head, is valid and is real. Or we have this interiority which is boundaryless, where we are not allowed to have our own self and our own space within ourselves. And you see this a lot in families, especially of people who are still living within the authority and church and patriarchal control doctrine worldview, right? Evangelicals, fundamentalists. And I don't have, in this particular lived experience, I don't actually have any lived experience in that world, so I can't speak to what it's like to have no boundaries in your interiority, but I can speak to what it's like to have your interiority completely invalidated. That was my experience growing up, or just existing in general. So yeah, so for either of those two extremes, the growth and the work is to either, like, first of all, validate your interiority. And I think that you get invalidation with both, right? In both of these situations, like growing up in a scientific materialist paradigm, where the only thing that exists is things that can be measured and seen and touched and discussed and talked about and rationalized. And the the evangelical, like fundamentalist, like religious worldview where all that exists is God. Like both of them have you get invalidated. And so a big part of the work is just validating. And that's why doing the work in a group setting is so important. And you can't learn to be psychic without like having people to be psychic with, right? Um, it's sad but true. Um, because you have to go through that process of validating that your own experience is like that interiority is a shared experience, right? Even though we don't really know how to communicate very well yet, there is a field that we can all tap into, vast majority of us, right? We can tap into and we can read it and we can see things about, we can learn things, right? And we can help people and heal people, heal ourselves using the field. Yeah. A question that's coming up, and I think we just passed the second bell. If you hadn't already noticed, I do keep an insight timer running while I'm recording these so that I know kind of where I am. I think that was the second 15-minute bell that just went off. Yeah, so we're just a little over half an hour. So a question that's coming up that somebody is asking about is whether the field is the same thing as the veil. And right now, recording this on Samhain, well, on the holiday of Halloween, actually, to be exact, because the true cross quarter day is about a week from now. But on the holiday of Halloween, beginning of Samhain season, really. And we're in this place this time when the veil is thinning, the veil between worlds, right? And so the question that's coming up is the field that I'm talking about, where I'm looking at this this membrane, the surface in between matter and consciousness, is that the same thing as the veil? Yes and no. I think I would say that the veil is a subset of the field. And if you think of it this way, where what you can see when you learn to read energy is as the field of what's in front of you, the veil is like the field of what's behind you. And that is that's the surface of the surface between consciousness and matter, in a sense of things that are not helpful for you as a conscious entity to be aware of. The veil is internal to yourself, and it is the separation between yourself and the rest of the universe, and the rest of your body, and the rest of your behavior, essentially, right? In a more practical space. It's the forgetting of all of your memories across space and time. It's the place where we outsource decision making to our constituent parts. And it is what is necessary for us as a sovereign being to have focused awareness on a point, right? Or diffused awareness across all space and time. In order to be able to bring our attention to something small or something big, our attention can't be on internal processes, right? Unless that's what we're focusing on and what we need to know about. So yeah, this is an experiment in what does it take to focusing your awareness on something small, diffusing your awareness onto something big. Yeah, my brain just rebooted. The field and the veil as the veil as a subset of the field. And so right now, this time of year, we get this this concept of the veil being thin, right? And so the other thing that the veil does, right? So it's kind of handling a lot of our internal processes, whether that's in our own body, like making sure that we're digesting our food properly, making sure that our muscles work together, like all of those unconscious biological processes are handled by a version, like part of the veil. But the other aspect of the veil is filtering out our sensory input, such that we only are consciously aware of things that are salient to our survival, or to whatever, we're only aware of things that are salient to our consciousness. And it's a way of filtering out all sensory input other than what is necessary to have the awareness of what we are aware of. So it's a loop, right? There's a there's a filtering out of what you're aware of, and then there's a being aware of what has not been filtered out. Just got chills as I was talking about that. This is really cool work, you guys. I'm so excited to be doing this together. Yeah, so the veil, as it is classically known, is, and the like, speaking about the concept of the veil thinning this time of year. If you think about the we have all of these internal processes that are keeping our body alive and keeping our brain from getting completely distracted by all sorts of shiny things that we can see, and focusing on the hunt for food and the whatever, like the drive to reproduce and nurture children. There's some sort of a function that is being done on our sensory input to only deliver to our conscious awareness that which is required in order to do all of these biological goals, right? Reproduce, eat. And that function, you can kind of think of it as like a mathematical function. It's a very complicated one, right? It's not something that I think you could actually write math about it, but you can imagine that there is this like generalized tuning of our awareness. You can think of that as like a fitness function, and the fitness function changes over time, right? Depending on our stage of life, depending on the time of year, depending on the like our worldview, our situation, right? Everybody's fitness function, everybody's filter of what they perceive consciously out of everything that they perceive unconsciously makes it into their conscious awareness. It's determined by things like your worldview, your upbringing, your current state of like bodily function, right? Am I hungry? I'm going to be searching for food. Am I horny? I'm going to be searching for sex, right? Is something in danger? I'm going to be trying to get to safety. That's all, like all of that is what the veil is doing for us most of the time. And so over the course of evolutionary history, there have been times where it's helpful for us to be able to see different things. And yeah, this time of year is maybe a time when being more attuned to the flow of nature, or to the whispers of ancestors across time loops, across time bridges. It's a time of year where that's always been more important, right? Going into the winter, right? Are we going to fucking survive? Are we going to make it through this winter, or are we going to freeze to death? Are we going to starve? Yeah. And so, yeah, just take a moment to kind of be with that, and to realize that, yeah, as we experience, as we experience the wheel of the year, for example, or holidays, or anything that happens periodically and has happened periodically for long enough, there are places where like this like time overlaps, and we can communicate with the past and the future. So just kind of sitting into that, feeling into how it feels to like validate the connections with consciousness that we can have outside of time, outside of linear time, outside of the matrix, the time matrix that we're living within. And recognizing how difficult that is. First of all, to have been essentially forced to exist in this artificial structure, this artificial experience of linearizing history, taking us away from our true nature. But then also how fucking hard it is to see out of it once you've been tunneled into it for so long. Yeah, recognizing how difficult that is for many people, and how most people shy away from it and don't ever. Most people never will never up level their worldview once they hit adulthood. They just don't. Um, Most adults actually have a more regressive or a less mature worldview than they did when they were teenagers, which is really kind of sad when you think about it. A lot of people think that, because they think that they outgrew this, like, and essentially, to a certain extent they did. Like, you hit this like early college phase where you're like getting high in the dorm and asking deep questions, and then you graduate and you get a job, and you like realize that, like, to be able to contemplate those things. I don't know if you're consciously saying that you think that contemplation of that is a luxury, but you don't have, or whatever. But you kind of go backwards to a more, or I think it's common for people to attain a higher level of a worldview, like a more. I don't want to say that a higher level worldview is better, like, and you can't talk about spectrums without implying a hierarchy upon it, and especially when we're talking about evolution, and involution, right? There's always some degree of, like, hierarchy implied, but it doesn't mean one is better than the other. Just in that, like, it it's not true that one of your cells is better than another one of your cells, or that even your whole body is better, quote unquote, right, than some of your constituent tissues or parts, right? Um, you're more complete, but like, if you start to assign, like, moral superiority, it's not, you're not more morally superior, you're just different and more complex. So um yeah, so a lot of people will go through the development of these worldviews, and then they will kind of fall back on one that was more comfortable for them earlier on, or people will be traumatized in childhood and never progress past a certain level, whether that's capital T trauma or little t trauma. Um, they will not receive the adequate developmental opportunity to get to those higher level worldviews, which require education and critical thinking, and the ability, like empathy, the ability to put oneself in others' shoes, the ability to think about groups of humans as systems. Like, these things are not. Yeah, they're not necessarily. Yeah, it's something that takes. Not everybody develops, right? Not everybody gets to that point. So, um, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that people who do are better, because we'd probably, like, life would be pretty shitty if everybody was talking, sitting around pontificating and talking about, um, yeah. And right now we have a lot of, okay, no, I see where this is going. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. When people are, yeah, I'm looking at the, kind of the field right now, and seeing all of these things that I've spoken into the, right. And oh, and that's the other thing about the field, right, is that it vibrates. Words ripple across the field. right? Sound waves propagate across the field at the speed of sound, but the field is non-local. The field is not, it doesn't have a place in 3D space-time, right? It doesn't exist here or there. It permeates all, right? It permeates all matter, and it's accessible to all consciousness. So, yeah, I think that's the field, right? It's a little meditation and a little kind of transmission on how we interact with the universe, um, especially as people coming into this world where like you're questioning all of the things that you thought you knew. Going through a spiritual awakening, right, can be very destabilizing. And I think, especially so for me, as being somebody who is, highly trained in the sciences and in engineering and things like that, before going through my spiritual awakening, um, it can be pretty destabilizing because everything you thought you knew, everything that you have basically rested your entire like identity and your entire worldview upon, is suddenly called into question, and it's terrifying, right? Um, and I wish that I had had people in my life that had gone through the same type of experience to be able to talk to about it, and I didn't. And so that's what I'm trying to be, is the voice of somebody who can speak the language of science and understands the nuances of it, and is not going to just try to throw around like scientific concepts to sound impressive so you'll, sign up for my $3,000 course and whatever. Like, yeah, just trying to be this voice of saying, like, you're not alone. None of us have ever been alone. We just think that we're alone. And as we all kind of start to wake up to that, we can do some cool stuff, right? We can build something amazing. But we need to overcome these growing pains of what we're going through right now on the planet, of thinking that we can actually harm each other and our planet and our animal allies, and coming back into a sense of reciprocity with the world, um, rather than extraction. We have to do that work before we can get to all the fun, like, let's be psychic together and create using the field, because that primary flavor of what is in the field is so painful and so heavily skewed towards the shadows that we have all been ignoring for so many, for thousands of years. And you can't get to the creation and to the highest expressions of the field unless you have integrated the shadows. And if we want to be a planetary awareness, that requires integration of planetary level karmic shadows. So that's what we're doing right now, guys. Come on down to Earth. It's real fun. Yeah, it's real fun down here on Earth right now. Yeah. I think that's what wants to come through me tonight. Yeah, I'm getting a message that there's a council meeting that I need to hop over to. So, I will leave it at that for tonight, and I hope that this transmission has found you well and left you in a better place than you were when you started. If you are going to sleep, please feel free to turn me off right now and cozy up and drift off. But if you are coming back to the world after this, just gently bring your awareness back to your body and let the field kind of hug your flesh for a moment. Tracing your awareness around your various, like doing a body scan, checking in with your toes and your feet, like wiggling your toes, and your hands, fingers, and toes kind of feel good first, and then gently blink your eyes open, give a stretch, and I will give yourself some golden suns. You deserve it. Just fill yourself in with all the energy that you need to have the day that you need to. And yeah, I'll be here. I'll see you next time. Good night and good luck.